What's up guys, this is Coach Donny with ElevateYourself.org. Welcome to my volleyball coach reaction to Haikyuu Season 1, Episode 12. If you're new to this channel, make sure that you subscribe and click that notification bell so you never miss a Haikyuu reaction video, as well as other volleyball content like volleyball tutorials, practice videos, and jump training videos. Also, if you're looking to purchase volleyball gear for the holidays, like balls, shoes, backpacks, and knee pads, then make sure that you shop at my favorite online volleyball store, All Volleyball. Use my discount code below to get 5% off your entire purchase and get free shipping for orders over $75. It's a sign of a good coach when a coach recognizes the importance of having a strong mindset just as much as having good skill. In fact, I would say that mindset is actually more important than physical skill. I've coached athletes who weren't the most athletic or have the best technique, but are highly confident, competitive, and work incredibly hard. And those type of athletes are the ones that really push your team to be better and help you win those close games. Now combine strong mindset with solid technique, and that's the ultimate combination. Thanks for confirming the location of the training camp. I wish we had those for my high school boys volleyball team when I was younger. Kind of like a volleyball retreat, where you get to hang out with other volleyball players, talk volleyball, play volleyball, and train all day. It's cool that Haikyuu references other animes for inspiration, which I'm sure all the hardcore anime fans appreciate. What an interesting fact that the author also writes horror stories, which is why the nighttime scene was so well done. If I ever run an overnight volleyball camp, I'm going to require that all the lights turn off at nighttime, no one can style their hair, and each athlete gets 1 extra minute of playing time for every person they scare at night. We'll call that the Halloween volleyball camp. Thanks for explaining who Kyoko Shimizu is and why Nishinoya and Tanaka were acting so distraught on the ground. I'm sure that's every boys volleyball team's dream, is to have someone like Shimizu be their team manager. I wonder if she will ever play volleyball in the later seasons. It would be awesome if she ended up being this incredible player. Sometimes we don't change until it hurts is an unfortunate part of human behavior, but a necessary part of being human. I've learned that there are 2 ways to learn in life. You can learn from wisdom or you can learn from experience. Learning from experience means having to experience things for yourself before you start to make better choices. Learning from wisdom means listening to others and learning from their mistakes and knowledge so you don't have to go through all the unnecessary pain to learn those lessons. As I've gotten older, I've definitely tried to learn more from wisdom than experience because learning the hard way gets old after a while. I want to give a special thanks to Mike Vandenberg, who is one of the Patreon members, for pointing out the error in my audio settings where my voice was panning left and right, and helping me adjust my microphone to the cardioid setting, so the sound should be better this episode. I'm not the most tech savvy when it comes to video and audio, so any feedback from you guys is always appreciated. If you've been enjoying these Haikyuu reaction videos, then please consider supporting me on my Patreon linked below, where you will also receive exclusive content like my live Q&A sessions, monthly podcasts, my private blog, behind the scenes footage, and more. Now let's get this Haikyuu party started. I love that soft anime glow. Just makes you feel very nostalgic. 5 years ago, it must be the original Coach Ukai. I love it when old people talk tough to each other. And this must be the other old coach of Neko. Perfect lines. Very Japanese. Man, the spring high school tournament, I would love to attend that one year. Definitely could make a good vlog out of that. What a lonely cat in the in the dumpster. Karasuno versus Nekoma.
しかし今因縁の再戦開始
So epic. Alright, like I said, I'm going to try to watch this intro to see what interesting parts come out of this. But if it is the same intro every time, I don't see the purpose of watching this every single episode. And now they spell Haikyuu with one U. If someone can explain that to me, I thought Haikyuu was spelled with two U's. Sorry, my chair's kind of squeaky. I need to get a new office chair. Ooh, that's a cool scene. Spinning ball with all these dynamic volleyball movements. One-handed dig. Oh. Alright, we gotta talk about that last scene. I haven't seen the intro in a while. One thing I always tell my players is that it takes two people to dig a ball. Even though only one person can touch the ball at a time, it's important that you always have one person to cross behind them. And that's what we call crossing seams, where two people are going for the same ball but on different planes in case the person in front misses it and then the person behind gets it, or in case the person behind misses it and the person in front can cut it off. So that was a really cool sequence. Let's watch that again. So you got, oh, see two people crossing seams and even that third person behind them. Kageyama's famous hard serve. So I'm going to talk about where Hinata is drinking the water bottle. He's rotating one way and then rotating the other way. I would say in my experience when I was studying animation, animating movement where you're rotating is the most difficult, because if you look at my head turning, you have to draw a different perspective each time. Whereas if I'm running towards you or you see me running sideways, you just have to increase the size of the head and take that same image and copy it. So it's really hard to animate something rotating to make it look fluid and to make it not look like it's warping. So great job, animators. There's Shimizu. Now I finally know her name. Dang, that's a crazy path. A little giant. By the way, to run zigzag like that for every single spike is actually not realistic. So if you're just learning volleyball, I don't recommend that. Hey, is this new buddy? Well, probably because he saw it on his t-shirt. Yeah, there you go. Karasuno High School. That guy reminds me of Tanaka. He's like the Tanaka of Nikko. Oh, there's Tanaka. Ooh. The two enforcers going at it. This is awesome. Oh, that sounds familiar, right? I mentioned this in an earlier episode, but I truly believe that every team should have an enforcer. But you want to have that one player that's always watching out for the safety and protection of other players. And also, when the other team talks trash to your team, you know you got someone on your team that's going to back you up and talk trash back and get in their face. So I'm not surprised that two good teams like Karasuno and Neko both have their enforcers. And it's funny that both of them have shaved heads. And I know that Neko has a mohawk, but they have a similar look. Oh man, Shimizu has her own fan club even from other schools. Ooh, that's gonna get under his skin too. Hey, that's K-pop hair number 2. Both captains being very cordial and professional, which is why they're good leaders. Yeah, that's like my hair. I wonder if they're former teammates. That's right. Persistence always pays off. Yeah, he's not sorry. That's cool. It's interesting that he is referring to Karasuno opponent as in by the coach, meaning before when they would compete against each other, he felt like he was competing more against Coach Ukai more so than the team. And oftentimes, very experienced coaches know that players are often a reflection of their coaches. Not to say that if a team wins all the time, it means the coach is good, and if a team loses all the time, it means the coach isn't that good. Because I know some really great coaches that have a losing record, but are really maximizing the talent that they have and are exceeding expectations even if they don't win a championship. I've definitely had this experience as a coach where I am more nervous about competing against a particular coach than I am a particular team. And I'll share a story during 2009. It was one of the best teams that I've coached at my former high school, which is Mission San Jose High School. And in 2009, we had a 35-5 record. And that was with half of our regular starting lineup being injured or sick throughout that season. We also won 2 tournaments, and we just had great chemistry, an unbreakable work ethic, and just a deep desire to compete. And our tallest player was only 5'9", and we were beating teams that had players that were 6 feet and 6 feet 2. During our sectional playoffs, we made it to the quarterfinals, and I had a chance to compete against a local legend, Coach Lou from Deer Valley High School in Antioch, California. Even though my team had a better record and we were higher ranked in our section, we ended up losing in 4 because I simply got outcoached. He was able to break down our passing by constantly isolating our worst passer, finding a way to shut down our best hitter, and just did a great job keeping his team calm and competitive. So I knew I definitely lost against the coach, not necessarily the other team's players. Yeah, jerseys with collars. I wonder if that's still the style in Japan. It has a very 90s style of jerseys. Oh, another reference to the wall. That's a great analogy. We must flow without stopping. I might take that. We must stay together like blood. That's right. This guy is too emo to engage in it. He doesn't care about anything. Sounds like a typical high school kid. Too cool to care about serious things. Oh yeah, another great graphic, the cat versus the crow. It's funny that that's the first thing he says, because I would say about 70 or 80% of the time when I play against teams that don't see me and they see me in the front row, they just look at me for a long time and I know they're thinking, gosh, is this guy really playing front row at only 5'10"? And I love that because that just motivates me even more to prove myself and to shut them down with my 5'10" style volleyball. So I definitely relate to Hinata in this one. Yeah, you want them to underestimate you, then they won't take you seriously.
うちのチーム強いと思うって言ったけど、強いのは俺じゃなくてみんなだから。
He said nice serve even before he served it. Trash talking to his own teammate mid-play. Oh, here we go. The Hinata Kageyama. Oh! The fake slide, no look hit. Yeah, no one knows what happens. Even the veteran coach is impressed, and that sneaky smile. Wow, he even impressed the other player that doesn't care. Ooh. I wanted to pause it here because as a passer and especially as a defender, your first priority is to try to position your body behind the ball as best you can. Oftentimes you will have to pass off center. As long as your body is behind the ball and the ball hits you on your shoulder, your chest, your face, your hands, it will go forward. So make sure when you're playing defense, try your best to get your body behind the ball so that you can at least pass the ball forward. Nice to receive it. Ooh. Boom. So let's analyze that last play. First, we'll talk about Kageyama's strategy. Majority of the time as a setter, you want to establish your quick attack, and that's also the first attack that will capture the attention of the opponent. So you see how Kageyama established Hinata's quick hit first, so that the blockers have to pay attention to him. And then once they start cheating towards Hinata, then you can set your other hitters where you either get one blocker up or no blocker up. So that is the benefit of being a decoy. So there we go. Asahi with nobody up. They're still impressed. I was hoping Suki would say something snarky. The fact that he touched it, agreed. That takes skill even against their biggest hitter. Here's that volleyball education moment. This is so great. I love those little cute characters. Oh man. Let's look. I wanted to freeze frame it here because Hinata is demonstrating really great ball spacing when he's attacking. So you notice that he keeps the ball a few inches in front of his hitting shoulder, and in position 2 of his arm swing, his elbow is as high as possible so that he can extend his elbow as straight as possible, which not only maximizes your reach of your hit, but also the power. The longer I make my arm at the point of contact, the higher you reach and the harder you hit, compared to having a short height of contact with a low elbow. I'm still not sure why they have Kageyama spreading his fingers when he's setting, because I do not recommend that technique. You want to set through the ball and keep your palms facing forward, not flaring it out. other setter is studying and watching.
たまらずタイムアウトか。
リベロもスパイカーもいいのがいるな。中でも一番とんでもねえのはセッターだ。
The most ridiculous is the setter.
これは化け物だな。スパイカーの最高打点への最速トス。
Very accurate.
コントロールだ。まあ天才はしょうがねえ。が天才が一人混じったところで。
Very true. He's doing a great job of keeping his team focused.
商用が攻撃の軸なら商用を止めちゃえばいい。
翔よ。
あのすばしこい10番。
あの9番と10番はいわば鬼とその金棒。
An Oni and his iron club. I'm curious what that means.
すごい。
They're not even ahead by that much, only 3 points.
なんか気持ち悪いな。様子を伺われてるっつうか、観察されてるっつうか。
That's because you are. Great teams will analyze you.
惜しかったぞ。あの7番、日向についてきている。
It's like a chess game now. They're watching each other to wait to see what each others are doing. Alright, so I'm going to pause it here to see if I can predict what Neko is doing. Now the coach on Neko did a great job of keeping his team focused, because it seems like Karasuno has a lot of momentum. They're just running their offense at will, and even though they're ahead by 3 points, if you don't stop the bleeding, that ratio can keep growing to where it ends up being 18-11, 23-14, and so on. So the coach called a perfect timeout to give his team enough time to learn about what Karasuno is doing, but then to stop the momentum so they can refocus and try to counterattack. So the coach did a great job of acknowledging what's really going on, and he's saying, hey, that setter is good and you can't do anything about that. He's going to be accurate and fast in his setting. We got to focus on the other elements that we can control and try to stop. So their goal is to see if they can stop Hinata first, which is the quickest threat, and I think that's why they're super stacking all the blockers in front of Hinata so that they can just focus in on trying to block or dig the other hitters that are not as fast, like Asahi or Tanaka. So let's see if that's what happens.
デマークするためじゃなくて、もしかして
日向の動きの誘導。
商用の動く範囲を狭くしちゃえばいいよ。見た感じ商用はただ単にブロックのいないところに突っ込んでいくんだ。
He's already noticing patterns.
片方に寄せれば反対側に動く。あとはひたすら追っかける。
あいつ。
確かにあんな攻撃、最初に見たときは誰でもびっくりするんだと思う。でも最初クリアできそうにないゲームでも繰り返すうちに慣れるんだよ。
Alright, I'm going to make another prediction. Kenma, I think that's the name of the setter from Neko, the one with the long blonde hair. My guess is the reason why he's not as interested in volleyball, because he's naturally a pretty good setter, and maybe their team is doing so well that he hasn't really felt challenged in a long time to excite him enough to care more about volleyball. So maybe Karasuno is challenging him to think in different ways because they have such a unique offense, especially with Hinata running all these crazy patterns, and this might reignite a new excitement for volleyball for Kenma. Oh, soft. Yeah, he soft blocked it. Slowed it down just enough. Oh.
2アタック。
おい、力みすぎんなよ。ちょっとの隙間見られてる。
Oh. That's called a tip. Oh, Kageyama. This might be the first time we get to see him hit. Oh yeah, he's so accurate. Oh, such a good line shot. It's like, that's how you do it. I love Kageyama. He's not doing it to be arrogant. He's doing it to like, dude, this is how you get it done. Now I know this might seem like a fluke where the setter is actually able to hit, but this is why it's important to develop yourself as an all-around volleyball player. Even though you might have a position that specializes in one skill, half the time should be spent on mastering your position-specific skills, but the other half should be developing all the other skills like blocking, serving, defense, whatever your position doesn't really specialize in, for moments like this. Because the ball tends to find you when you're not ready. So you got to be ready to perform any skill at any moment. And one of my favorite stories to tell is in 2008, the USA men's national team was playing against Brazil during the gold medal match in the Beijing Olympics. And on game point, when USA had a chance to win the gold medal, guess who had to set the ball on game point? It wasn't the setter, and it actually wasn't the libero. It was the middle hitter, Ryan Millar. And that might have been his only set the entire tournament. But because he is a great all-around player, he had full confidence to set Clay Stanley, who is their best hitter, to put away gold medal point.
And
So good job, Kageyama. Now I want to talk about his right side hitting, and it's kind of ironic that I'm using Kageyama to talk about right side attack. So as a right-hander, when you're attacking from the left side, you want to open up your chest and face the setter so you can rotate back into the court for power. But when you're hitting on the right side, you don't need to open up as much, and you see that his chest is pretty much facing the baseline almost the entire time. And especially if you want to hit line from the right side, this is how you're going to hit line. Jump square to the net, maybe open up your shoulder just a little bit, and let the ball cross your hitting shoulder and just swing straight ahead as fast as you can. Tanaka is always impressed. Ooh, only a 2-point game. Suki with the tip. And he's still two guys who act like they don't care. This is great. Nice receiver. Oh, he picked him out with his body language. Oh, that was great. Man, I'm stopping it so many times because there's so many trinkets in this game alone. So you see how Tsuki is pretty much watching the setter the entire time. And one thing I always tell my players is watch the player, not the ball. The ball actually doesn't tell you very much because it's the player that controls the ball. And the reality is the ball is moving super fast, like anywhere from 40 to 50 miles per hour. And so physically we cannot just simply react to the ball all the time. And the greatest players don't always have the fastest reactions. They actually have the most knowledge up here and make the best decisions before the situation happens. So they're able to anticipate really early. So Tsuki is actually doing the right thing by reading body language. When the setter is leaning back or arching the lower back, that usually means they're going to back set. Very few setters, even at the professional level, can maintain a neutral posture, which means keeping their torso vertical, which makes it very difficult for the opposing blockers to read, and you can still change direction comfortably. So Kenma is leaning back to make it seem like he's going to back set, and then he waits for Tsuki to move based on his own body language, and then sets against the flow or the opposite direction of the middle blocker. Now I don't recommend setting like this on a regular basis, maybe once or twice, just to get a few points here and there, because if I lean back and then try to set forward, I'm actually losing a lot of strength and momentum in my set, so I have to muscle it out, and you run the risk of having the set die inside, which will trap your other hitter, and it will tire out your arms very quickly if you do this too much, because this technique requires a lot of arm motion. That flowing hair is like when the samurai cut the body in half and like they're drifting in the field. Kageyama is impressed.
他人をよく観察する。あいつは予測がうまい。こいつはこういうタイプできっとこう動くって予測が。でもうちの強さはそこがポイントじゃないけどな。
Yeah, served into the net. Who's that, Daichi? Man, these cutscenes are so creative.
昔から自分から友達とか作れた試しがない。
Poor guy.
他人は苦手で関わりたくないくせに他人の目はすごく気になる。目立たないために神経を尖らせた。遊び相手は年も家も近い黒だけ。
Yeah, that's probably why he hides in video games.
特に好きじゃないけどバレーボールは昔から触ってた。中学は黒に言われてなんとなくバレー部に入った。ちょっと楽しかった。高校でもまたなんとなく続けた。少し前まで強かった学校だった。人がたくさんいた。ここは苦手だと思った。
1年片付けおっせえよ。帰れねえだろ。
先輩というのは1年とか2年早く生まれただけでどうしてあんなに威張るんだろう。
Yeah. Why do older people always have to earn the title of being your senior?
お前は鋭い観察眼を持ってるし、指示だって的確だ。今の1、2年はお前の凄さを分かる。
I wonder if that's his friend that got him into
お前は
volleyball.
絶対にチームを強くする。
Because he does have the same hairstyle.
うちの影山くんは素人が見てもすごい感じがビシビシ伝わってくる。ネコマのセッターくんは何かすごいことをやってるのかもしれないけど、見ててもよくわからない。
それはあの安定したレシーブのせいだ。
Yeah, when you have consistent passing, you could do so many things.
重要なのはセッターの頭上に綺麗に返ってくるあのレシーブだ。あのレシーブがあるから向こうのセッターは本領を発揮できてるんだ。セッターである影山が圧倒的才能でデコボコのチームをつなぐのがカラスのなら。
Yeah, a good setter can compensate for inconsistent passing to some point.
俺たちは血液だ。
Ooh, look at all those great passing angles.
酸素を回せ。脳が正常に働くために。
Another thing about having high passes is you give your setter more time to think.
超人みたいなエースがいなくても地道に丁寧に一点一点を積み重ねていけば。
影山、次こそバシッと決めるからトスくれ。
Ooh, I like it. Hitters demanding the ball. More pressure, but you got to respond with more confidence.
最初クリアできそうにないゲームでも何回も繰り返すうちに。
Now he's going to try to hit harder.
慣れるんだよ。
Oh, he read him.
やっと捕まえた。
That's also a sign of persistence.
おい、いちいちへこんでらんねえぞ。次のセット取り返す。
絶対に止められないスパイクなんかないんだ。
If you guys remember from one of the early episodes where I talked about how the team that wins is the team that makes the last adjustment. I know for me personally as a hitter, I like to get blocked earlier in the game so I can test to see how good the blocker is and what their tendencies are. So by the time we reach the end of the game, I know exactly what they're going to do and I can make the final move. Neko is demonstrating qualities of a very competitive and high-level team. And it's not so much about their physical ability, but it's about their strategy and execution of fundamental skills. So when a team scores a point on you, don't view it as a discouragement. View it as information and for you to track what the other team is doing so you can make moves on them and counterattack. So now that Karasuno lost trying to run the same play, I'm curious if Karasuno will make an adjustment. Because I guarantee if they keep trying to do the same moves over and over again, you're going to get the same result. I think Kageyama also said you have to think about where you're hitting, don't just hit. All Hinata has to do is hit left. He keeps hitting straight ahead. Oh, again. This is the best way for him to learn and just throw him in the fire. Oh, is he gonna adapt? Oh, he read him again. Dang. Alright, Coach Ukai is definitely throwing out some gems there. So how you coach in the preseason or during an unofficial match compared to in-season and even post-season should be different. Not to say that you have to have different expectations, but different parts of the season allow you to develop different aspects of the team. Because this is a practice match, you can experiment a lot more with different types of offenses, different players, and do a lot more substitutions because the match doesn't count. In season, you can experiment a little bit, but hopefully all the information you've gathered during the preseason will help you figure out what type of offense and who the regular players are going to be on the court. Then when you get to the postseason playoffs, that's definitely not a good time to experiment, because not only can the result of each match determine whether you keep playing or you get knocked out, but you also want to allow the chemistry that you've developed over the course of the season to be your strength at that moment. The only time you take a risk is if everything you've tried doesn't work, then you have to be willing to try anything to change the situation. So here's a great opportunity for Coach Ukai to see what Hinata does under pressure and what he's going to do to problem solve a situation where he feels stuck.
中学最初で最後の試合で完全にシャットアウトされて、高校でも月島の高さに全然勝てなくて、それでもやっと手に入れた自分よりずっとでかい相手と戦う方法、日向にとって唯一で最強の攻撃、それがたった一人の
A single blocker, that's impressive. The human wall that breaks the will, that's a great quote. The more you run into it, the more discouraged you feel. Unless you keep fighting. He's got a little smile. I think he's not going to give up. That's the key. Just don't give up and keep pushing. View it as an opportunity to make you better.
違うんだ。ブロックで向こう側が全然見えなくて、どうすればいいか全然わかんなかった。あの頃の感じとはなんか違う。向こうもギリギリでついてきてるのわかる。今までブロックは怖くて嫌なだけだったのに、あいつが目の前に来るとワクワクする。お前のトスとあとなんかの工夫で打ち抜けるんじゃないかって思うんだ。
I love it. I love the determination and the will not to give up. Give him another chance, Kageyama. This is your chance to let Hinata progress to the next level, and I think Kageyama can see that fire burning in Hinata. Come on, change direction. Uh-oh.
今、日向トスを見ましたね。今までボールは完全に影山に任せてひたすらフルスイングだったのに。
Coach Ukai's seen enough.
お前のトス信用してないとかじゃなくてだな。なんだろう。何を焦ってんの。お前のお前のトス信用してないとかじゃなくてだな。なんだろう。
I think he was thinking, and I think Kageyama will appreciate that. Give him some time to think and change direction. Sometimes a fast set can force your hitter into a particular direction.
いきなり帰ろうって言われても難しいかもしんねえけど。
Aha. Great coaches think alike.
そう変えるのはどうして？
空中で日向に余裕ができるようにだ。さっき日向は空中でブロックを避けようとした。あのブロックを避ける技を見よう見まねでやろうとした。
Yeah, sometimes you learn by watching too.
全然できてはなかったけどな。
Yeah, keep experimenting. Figure it out.
全然考えないで打ってたから、いざ自分で合わそうとするとわかんねえ。
But that's okay. You have to endure the struggle to get better.
すみません。俺ミスたくさん。
何を言うか。俺はいつもお前のおかげでフリーで打ててるからな。たまには俺の方がかっこいい試合があったって。
朝日さんの方が決めてるけどな。
うるせえ。とにかくいいんだ。ね、朝日さん。
I love it, man. Tanaka, you just make me like you more and more each episode.
あんまやらかすと変えられちゃうかもだけど。
And Suki from the background.
何かつかめそうならとことんやりな。飛んでる時は一人でも後ろにはちゃんと俺たちがいるし。
Just like the little giant, they all have his back. He always hits Asahi harder, probably because he knows he has to toughen him up, and he's a big guy.
もうやめてあげて。朝日さん。レフト。
Lefto!
ナイスコース。
Did he sub? No, he didn't sub him out.
また返すので精一杯。どうすればうまくいくんでしょうね。
初めてのプレーをすぐできないのなんて当然だ。でもどんなことだってやってみるから始まるんだ。小さな巨人って前にカラスノにいたろ。
Yeah, sometimes the only way to learn is to learn under pressure and through making hundreds of mistakes to figure it out.
ブロックに止められてばっかだった。それが2年の後半には空中戦で右に出るやつはいなくなった。ブロックの高さにかなわないならその隙間を狙って打つ。
That's called aiming in the seams. Aim for the holes. Ricochet means tool in the block, hit the ball off the block and out of bounds. That's my favorite move.
全部うちのじいさんから聞いた話だけどな。
鵜飼前監督ですか？
ああ、じいさんが言ってたことをすげえよく覚えてる。
翼がないから人は飛び方を探すのだ。
Oh, is he gonna hit it off the block? Oh, change direction. There you go. It's called hitting away from your body. He finally figured it out. So what Hinata is doing here is he's rotating and he's staying true to his power line, which is straight ahead, and then he's hitting away from his body. So you're convincing the blocker to follow your power line, and at the last second, you're going to turn your thumb down a little bit and hit away from your body to change direction. And that's why even the libero is kind of moving to his right, because he's also trying to line up with the hitter. And the best advice that I've learned from other great players is don't hit where you're facing. Oh, but that was a great decision. Everyone's rooting for Hinata. The fighting spirit. Here's my immediate reaction to episode 12. There were so many great details and strategies both between the two coaches and the players from both teams. The insight that they provide is actually very realistic, and you see these strategies all the way from the competitive high school level to the professional level. You'll notice that the way Neko responded to being down 3 points when it was 7-10 was a great reflection of their experienced coach. Instead of getting all amped up and saying, we gotta fight harder, we gotta be better, they talked about what they all observed about the Karasuno team and collectively made an adjustment, which eventually led them to a victory in that set. A lot of great players do watch the other team as they're playing, and they take mental notes of the patterns they observe. And that's really what all sports is a series of patterns. And if you can stop or disrupt the opponent's strongest patterns, then you'll have a huge advantage to win the game. And that's exactly what Neko did to Karasuno. It was awesome to see Hinata evolve yet to another level, and that's thanks to Coach Ukai, who gave him the space to grow. Even though Hinata's last hit was out, the coach and the team were super happy because they saw that Hinata was finally able to change direction on the ball, and it's only a matter of time and practice before he can do that consistently and start scoring points. But notice how many mistakes he had to make to get to that point. So if you're a coach out there, it's important to encourage the right type of mistakes because not all mistakes are equal and good. A bad mistake is when it is due to a lack of effort and focus, and those should never be encouraged or rewarded. Now, if a player is actually trying to improve a skill or implement a better strategy, they're bound to make mistakes because they're not used to it. But those are the right mistakes because it's in the effort of trying to be better. So it's very important to support your players as they're going through those processes because it can get very discouraging and they might think, gosh, is this worth it? Or it might not be working. But your job as a coach is to continue to encourage them in that direction because the end result is that they will be better. It was cool to learn Kenma's backstory of where he didn't really have a lot of friends and he had trouble connecting with people and often kept to himself. And if it wasn't for his close friend who pushed him to do positive things like join the volleyball team, he would have never been the great setter that he is. So he's very lucky to have a friend like that. I was very impressed with his decision making and his ability to analyze the game. And that probably comes from just being very introverted, where he spends a lot of time by himself thinking and reflecting, which is a really great quality to have. So I'm not surprised that he was able to make adjustments so quickly by studying what the other team is doing. I hope you guys enjoyed this reaction video. Don't forget about my next giveaway, where the first 150 members to join my Patreon will enter a chance to win a free Elevate Lightweight hoodie and lanyard. So make sure that you guys sign up for my Patreon below. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.